University of Victoria. I'm also graduated from the University of Hard Knocks of being an entrepreneur. So you can see there, I went into finance. I worked for my first startup when I was just outside of university. I then lost everything on my 30th birthday. Basically, ended up at my parents' place in Victoria with creditors calling my phone. Lost $100,000. And at that time, when you're 29 years old, that's a lot of money. So I took my learning and ultimately ended up at Expedia and Microsoft. So that's where I cut my teeth. And very lucky, that's where I learned all my lessons that I applied to medical departures. So got a lot of technology experience and also got a lot of bruises from hard knocks of life. And those have really trained me how to be a global entrepreneur. So we'll talk more about that in a sec. So please, is this going in PowerPoint or is this actually in a Chrome browser?
It's in a Chrome browser.
Okay, the font's off. Okay, no worries. Now you can tell I'm a perfectionist. So the problem that we have is medical care is fucking expensive. It's hard to find, and that doesn't exist just here. In Thailand, it exists everywhere. It doesn't matter if it's France, UK, Austria, Germany, Italy, Australia, Mexico, you name it. It's expensive and it's hard to find for the average person. So what we see is that both local and international patients are looking for a source that they can trust. And right now, if I ask anyone, who's the trusted source for medical information globally, or even locally? Hands, anyone? Anyone have a brand name that hits at the top like an Uber? Like an Amazon, like an Alibaba? What's that? ZocDoc in the US. Yep. $500 million funded. Anyone else?
Yep, I call him.
Yes, there we go. Hyperlocal, right? So local, regionally local brands, but there's no global brand yet. And so, look, when you look at it, what we're trying to do is fill that void. So we have a company called Medical Departures. And simply put, it's a place where you can find, compare, and book global doctors and also dentists. Now, I'm not a doctor. I'm also not a nurse. What I am is a geek. And the way that I approach this is a geek. I go with data first. I look at the data, and I take the experience that I've learned from the hospitality industry and apply that to medicine. So if you look at our website, if you look at the UX, you look at the functionality, you look at the algorithms, the quality algorithms, sorting algorithms, the review fraud algorithms, they're all plucked from the hospitality industry, stolen, so to speak, because great artists steal. I know you had a quote there, and he's not the one that's first said that either. So look, what we do is you can go online, you can look at a doctor's credentials, you can search for procedures, you can look at photos, you can look at 360-degree photos, you can look at reviews from real patients, you can go in and ultimately talk to a customer care agent 24/7 via email, Facebook, live chat, and good old-fashioned phone, locally from anywhere you want in the countries that we serve. So where it gets interesting is content. So we talked about the validation of doctors. One of the things that we actually do on our website, which is really hard, it looks really simple on our website because it just shows up as a little verified icon. We actually go in and we actually verify the doctors in Thai. We make sure that they're registered and in good standing with the Medical Association and the Dental Association. In the Philippines, in Mexico, in Costa Rica, in Indonesia, in Malaysia, in South Korea, it's an offline process. So it's really what sets us apart. So look, our coverage, we have 6,000 dentist doctors globally around the world. I'm not going to toot our own horn, but beat on the supply. So look, 3 things that are going to change this century. One of them is right here. I could work anywhere on the planet, as could you all. But I chose to come here to Southeast Asia. My belief is that Southeast Asia is going to, the middle class in Southeast Asia is going to change the planet like America did last century. That when you look at it, the explosion of the middle class in Southeast Asia is going to put such an imprint on this planet, it's going to change everything. And I can tell you that because I lived in America for 10 years and I chose to come here. I literally sold all of my assets with my wife in the back and we took our two daughters, 5 and 3, and left. Rented out our house and we went to Mexico to follow this dream of the globalization of healthcare. And that's ultimately what we represent, as is globalization represented in your pocket by your cell phone, as is globalization in the car that you drive or the scooter that you got in here, globalization is coming and has already come to the back office of medical, and now it's coming to the front office as a consumer. Low-cost carriers have changed the face of this planet. You can see it. The incumbents are now dying. They're trying to keep up with the Ryanairs, the AirAsias of the world. That is coming to healthcare. Globalization is here, and it's going to make its impact like it did in everything else. The average person can afford better quality medical care, and they will. Just like the average person hasn't had a raise since 1983, but they still feel richer because they have consumer goods that do a heck of a lot more than what they thought before. So look, baby boomers, not as surprising here. The aging of the population in China, in Japan, in Western Europe, France, Italy, Germany, it's a huge trillion-dollar business. And also you're talking about the empowerment of healthcare as consumers. So the big thing about that, the most important thing that you and I have, and again, I'm getting a little more salt and pepper in my hair, so I realize it, it's your health. But if you look online, it's the thing that you have the least amount of information. The reason why I started this idea is because when I looked online, there was more information about a bloody hotel room than about your doctor, about your dentist, about your hospital. Why don't I have the Yelp of hospitals or the ZocDoc of global medical care? So that's ultimately what made me go into this. So look, this is really simple. The expansion of the middle class. If you look at local regions, the Philippines, Vietnam, Thailand, Malaysia, they're just not building enough hospitals. They don't have enough supply. And the thing is, if you look at it, they're going globally. We here get Vietnamese, we get Indonesians going to Malaysia, and Philippines coming to higher quality medical care. This is Kleiner Perkins study. Look, we're all digital citizens. We want access to who our doctor is, what he or she does. And again, it also means that they don't understand the degrees that the doctors have. They don't understand the schools, but they do understand the reviews of fellow patients like you and me that are not experts in a special field or a general practitioner. They rely on other people. It's the wisdom of crowd. Just like why people go to certain restaurants, why people go to certain hotels, it's going to be reviews just like everywhere else. Accreditations are important. They weed out the weak, but ultimately it's going to be reviews that sets the best doctors and clinics aside and shows them who's number one. So 25%, and again, getting older, the average person, you all haven't saved enough money for your health care, period. No one has. You're living longer, statistically, you're going to run out of money. And if you don't have a socialized medicine, like a France or a Canada, you haven't looked in your financial models for your retirement and you talk to your broker or your financial advisor, you haven't saved enough money. It's very simple. So these are the three problems that we're addressing. This is the propensity for people to travel. Very old study, very flawed. But I do like this piece, which is from Deloitte. So look, if people considered a 50% savings and the quality was as good or the same as at home, they would travel overseas. That's where this demographic and psychographic change is coming. Where are they traveling? They're traveling here. Asia is actually, if you look at the heart, this is an old study again, this is McKinsey. You look at, they're going to places like North America, they're going to places like Latin America and coming from them. But when you look at all the data, it all goes to Asia. This is the heart of where people are traveling. And again, I know Thailand has the reputation of being the top place for medical care, but that is changing. If you look at it, South Korea is nipping at Thailand's heels. Malaysia, nipping at Thailand's heels. You've got upstarts that are trying to bring up and kind of come up to the same level. You've got, and it sounds, for a lot of people, you would think Singapore it is great quality care, but who can afford Singapore? Not countries. That's it. So does anyone have any questions? I wanted to bang through. And one thing I want to lead off on is just with globalization, whether you know it or appreciate it or feel it, you see it around the city. Sukhumvit, Sukhumvit's down there, Bangkok Hospital, Brahmanrat, and those are just the ones you know. There's hundreds of clinics all over Bangkok that are helping elevate the average person in the planet's healthcare. And it's amazing to be part of that process. And it's also exciting that you may not directly be involved like myself or my great team, but if you just open your eyes, you're going to see that Thailand, good and bad, there's some really interesting, great things about Thailand, there's some really challenging things. This is one of those interesting things, that Thailand is really moving away. If you go to a facility, and we talked about this, that it's as good or better than home. And I don't care if home is France, I don't care if home is Australia. For me, I've had medical care in Canada, the United States, Mexico, Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam, Thailand. The access, and not every doctor is the best, because there's crappy doctors in Canada, just as there is here, just as there's great ones. But the thing is, the quality of medical care is world class. And it's an amazing opportunity to introduce the world to it. So I know we have one question over here.
Yeah. At the very beginning, you said that good healthcare, quality healthcare is both expensive and hard to find. So I've been working with the hospitality industry. I can see what you're doing, making availability much, much better.
Sure.
But how is, I feel like you addressed the expensive part. Why is it so expensive? And
Healthcare?
well,
Depends on where you are. Depends on where you are.
But how are you solving that problem? Is it just through competition?
It's through transparency. It's through globalization. So transparency, you may not realize this here. You go to Suwiti Way, and then you go to Brahmanrat, there's a 33% delta. And that's a 10-minute ride in price, just locally. You go to America, it's the exact same thing. If you look at the Social Security database, they can, even though it's a technically private system, there's not very much private business going on because you can have the same procedure and go across town and get it for 50% of the cost. So what we do is, one, we inform and educate that there is great quality medical care globally that's a 50 or 70% discount compared to your home. Well, it's an arbitrage play. So look, if everyone knows arbitrage, many different ways to do it in the stock market, but with labor, that's basically what we're doing. The physiology of your body is the same, wherever you go. But the cost of the doctor, the cost of the nurse, the cost of the facilities and the insurance for Suwiti Way is a lot cheaper than Mount Sinai in the US. It's a lot cheaper than if you go to Singapore. And it's not because the quality is less, it's because the inputs of labor. What's interesting about the savings is that what goes in your body is exactly the same product that goes in your body in Australia or Singapore. It's from France, it's from Italy, it's from Germany, it's from Spain, it's from China. It's all the same stuff, but it's the labor that costs a lot. And also it's the regulations. Coming from the United States, the reason why it's expensive there, and it's really expensive. I had a gold-plated plan at Microsoft. My daughter cost $56,000 to give birth, and I had to pay $5,000 of that. And you could buy 2 births here. So the reason why that's expensive is because the insurance companies are making so much money because it's an opaque marketplace. So what we do is we empower consumers to feel trust to travel globally. We empower consumers with pricing transparency, and we also empower consumers that if they want, they can go to a 5-star facility like Suwiti Way, but they can also go to a 4-star or 3-star rated facility. Still same quality medical care, same quality outcome, but doesn't have a great location like a Suwiti Way. Sukhumvit.
Do you then play with insurance providers, or do you tend to become an insurance provider?
Good question. So you can say we're a PPO, so paid party operator, but we don't touch insurance providers right now, and I'll explain why. Is the doctors and dentists and hospitals plain don't like insurance providers. There's a war going on between insurance providers and healthcare providers, and it exists everywhere. When you get an insurance provider, you may not know this when you buy the insurance program, the insurance provider goes to each hospital and negotiates down your costs for you. So the hospital can't charge you market rate. So when you go to an insurance provider, they're getting at minimum 20 to 30% cheaper than what you would pay if you just handed them your credit card. In addition, you have to go through all this paperwork that's only unique to a specific insurance provider. They're not standardized. So the paperwork process is crazy. They have huge offices at these hospitals that all they do is insurance filing. And then the third thing, which the accountants hate, if I pay for you right now, you get the money from the clinic. It's one of our customers. They pay the clinic direct, they don't pay us. So we're a free service to consumers. We ultimately bill on the back end. If I'm an insurance provider, you go to my clinic, you don't get paid for 90 days. The clinic doesn't get paid for 60 to 90 days later, so from a cash flow perspective, they would much rather have a cash pay. So for those three reasons, long answer to a very simple question, we don't work with healthcare. We don't work with insurance providers at this time. Without laying out their strategy. I know we have two more questions, but that maybe do. Anyone else have any questions? At the back?
One over there.
How do you, my name is Ben. Hello. How do you deal with bad reviews? Because it can kill the reputation of a clinic.
We savor it. We absolutely savor it. Our trust is with our customers. So it's really simple. A bad review is an opportunity. Just like a bump in life is an opportunity. So bad reviews, so you look at the studies, and again, there's several of them out there. The doctors, not sadly, every day we answer this question with a medical provider that's freaking out because they don't have a 5-star review. And my coaching to my team and to them is, it's an opportunity. You want 3-star reviews, you want 2-star reviews. And the reason why is because we know if you do enough business, something will go wrong. Or there's going to be that consumer that just never can be happy. So take it as an opportunity to show them your value. I'm sorry. This is how we coach them. I'm sorry that you had to wait, or I'm sorry the medical outcome was like that. Here's what we did to try to remedy your situation. And so for our site, when you submit a review, it's double-sided. One review response goes back to you, and then it sends off to the provider, and they can respond back to TripAdvisor. The key thing too as well, and we tell the providers, if you have 20, if you have 200 reviews and they're all 5-star reviews, what do you think?
Fake.
Fake. They're absolutely fake, right? So the thing is, those negative reviews tell your audience that this is legit. And look, we take such crap. We have people that threaten to leave us, to sue us, and we stay on the side of consumers. We give the coaching to the clinics who may not, look, they get their backs get up like a cat because they're like, how dare this person? I've practiced for 8 years. I went to medical school for another 8. How can they give me a bad review? They don't understand. And I'm like, yes. So tell them, inform them, educate them on that process, and provide feedback. Whether you like it or not, consumers, you and I can provide medical reviews. A lot of doctors don't think that, and I'll explain why. Because they think you didn't go to medical school, they think you don't understand the complexities that one body can react to the exact different, one body can be completely different end result for the exact same surgery due to physiology or patient outcome at the end. So I understand that, but here's where it gets interesting. I asked the doctor this question: what car do you have? Generally, it's a nice car. They'll say Mercedes, BMW. I'm like, okay, what do you think of it? Oh, it drives like it's on rails, and it's awesome. I love how it purrs. I'm like, well, how can you do that review? You're not a mechanical engineer. You're not an audio engineer. There's 6 CPUs in that car. So how can you give a review of how that car works? Because this is literally the most advanced machine we've ever created. You went to medical school, so you can't, but I can. I'm like, that's exactly what consumers do. So again, very long answer to a simple question. Does that help you out?
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
everyone.
much. For 3 minutes, I think you will get
Oh,
your
sorry.
reward from French.
My reward is speaking to everyone.
Can we advise your users not to give a negative comment to the dentist before the procedure is finished?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry.
Label out.